In Wave 1 of the Transformers Studio Series line, we got a rendition of Optimus Prime, the leader of the Autobots, and it only seems fitting that we finally get a rendition of the leader of the Decepticons. This, of course, is Studio Series Wave 2 Voyager class Megatron, and he's going to be our focus in the latest GotBot True review. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. I'm your host, Dennis Moulton, aka GotBot. It is fantastic to have you here again. Please check me out everywhere. Have a look at Machinery of Man, the Everything Factor, and Transformers Collectors NL. Please like, comment, share, and of course subscribe, man. Check out what we have on the channel. Stop motions and how-tos, and a whole library of figures. And this one is going to be the newest one to add to that collection. It is Studio Series Megatron, and I think he looks glorious in terms of iterations of this character, and specifically this version, his kind of tank version from, I believe, the Revenge of the Fallen film. I think it's one of the better known iterations of this character. Like, it's one that I think people see and they really kind of associate it with being Megatron, and other versions that we've had of the toy just really didn't do him justice. That leader class was terrible, and some of the Voyagers had weird colorings, and I don't think anything ever quite got his arms right, but I think that this one does. Does that mean it's perfect? No, it really isn't. There are certain issues here, but I feel very safe in saying that I still believe it may very well be the absolute best version of the Decepticon leader with this body type that we have ever gotten. Anyway, enough of me babbling on about him. Let's head over to the table and see this guy in all of his glory. And here we have the Studio Series of Voyager Megatron. This is number 13 in the series, and it's part of Wave 2. I want to thank John for letting me take a look at this guy, because this isn't mine, it is his. And you can check out, of course, what he's doing on his channel. He does a lot of music stuff, East-Coast music, so, you know, I'll leave a link down in the description so you can check out what he's doing. And what do I think of this guy? Good question. We're going to go through everything, so without any further ado, let's start off and take a quick look at his box. And here we have the box for Megatron. And of course there's art of Megatron here. His face, a nice close-up on this side. Art again over here. And the product shots and whatnot as per usual on the back. It's your typical box. It is what it is. And here we have instructions. These are okay. They're all right. It's not the best instructions, and the section pertaining to his legs is particularly not clear in here. I followed what this said, and it did not look like a Cybertronian tank when I was done. It just looked like a mess. And here we have a forest battle scene. I'm sure it's taken from the movie. Whatever, it's probably where he took out Optimus Prime during Revenge of the Fallen. I'm not sure. It's a battle scene, and you can take Megatron and you can put him, you know, in right there, and it looks great again if you have the space, but that's it. The guy doesn't really come with any accessories per se outside of this. So that means we can kind of move right into the main figure itself. And boy, oh boy, do I wish I could say that everything was just honky-dory with this guy. And he has a lot going for him, but he certainly is not perfect by any stretch of the imagination. First things first, his paint apps. A lot of people have complained that he is this kind of stark gray instead of being silver. I think silver would have been nice. I don't know if I would have wanted like a shiny silver like Jazz. I feel like some sort of a nice matte silver would have looked good on this guy. Maybe. I mean, it's arguable. I could see why somebody would want to do that. And I've seen some customs where people have done this guy over in silver. I probably would if this was mine. as it is, he still has more paint than you would expect. He has a lot of like bronze kind of in his chest and his abdomen and detailings on down. Really on his tires there's a lot of bronze, and there's sections that have gray paint like inside of his foot and out right here that have like a gray paint that's actually a good match for his like plastic gray color. So I kind of dig that. I do. I kind of dig that. His face is absolutely glorious. We'll go in close on that for a second. Then I will let you know what I kind of think of his paint score overall. Like, come on, man. Look at the bronzy colored teeth, the red eyes. It is a fantastic head sculpt. So menacing, so Megatron-ish. So honestly, in terms of his paint apps, I give the guy a solid, for the incarnation that it is, I have to give it like a solid 9. It is one of the Megatrons that looks the most Megatron-ish to me that I've seen. Even the whole kind of silhouette looks correct to me. I totally dig it. So yeah, I'm gonna say 9. I'm gonna say 9. The articulation is actually pretty good, all things considered. We have a head that can go left and right. It can look forward because the whole kind of neck joint doesn't really tab into anything. He can look way up, which is impressive. His arms, they can go all the way around and out on this side. We have an elbow to 90 degrees. We have a bicep swivel. On the other side, it goes all the way around. We have an elbow to 90 degrees, actually over 90 degrees, a nice deep elbow. We still have a bicep swivel, and we have like these fingers are on one piece and then these two are on another, and they can kind of swivel back and forth to your heart's content. He doesn't have a waist, but that's really because of the way that he transforms. The legs, they can go well forward, they can go well back, and he can do, splits for days out to the side, so, that's impressive. He does have a thigh swivel on both legs, and then we get to, I guess, his knees. We're gonna say his knees for lack of a better term. And these pieces on the back, they can come up, which is great. A lot of people complain about these falling off very easily. On this copy of the mold, it does not seem to happen very often, which I'm very thankful for. Like, there's a knee back, there's a knee forward. You can stretch the leg out to give him extra height. If you want him, I guess even taller, you can do that. Even though these are supposed to be collapsed up. He has, I haven't seen anybody mention this, though I'm sure somebody has. He has ankle tilts a little bit, which I think is fantastic. Why not? His toes, of course, they can open and close. As we know, his heel moves up and down a little bit. Truth is, he has a lot of articulation. It's just that his legs are constructed in such a way that they're so odd and peculiar that it's hard to even know how to articulate, like from the knee down. But I applaud them for what they managed to accomplish with it. You can get some great dynamic poses. He stands well. He has extra stability on the inside of his foot, an extra stabilizer on the outside of his foot. Like, I totally dig it, man. I do, and for that reason, I'm going to say that his articulation is easily, say 8.5. I'm going to say it's an 8.5. It's good. So we have an 8.5. We have a 9. So far, this guy's at 8.75. Then we're going to get into the transformation. Oh, actually, before we get into the transformation, let's do a couple of comparisons with this dude. Here he is with Deluxe Class. Put him down here, maybe. Deluxe Class Stinger from the Studio Series. I took a look at Stinger in full in episode 390. I really like him. A lot of people complain about him, but I dig Stinger. So taking him out of it, here he is next to, I guess technically, little tiny Scorponok, but more importantly, leader class Blackout. I'll just move these guys over a little bit. And height-wise, I mean, Megatron seems like he would be bigger, but he definitely does not have the heft and the bulk that Blackout has. And I looked at Blackout in full and the custom paintwork I did on him in episode 402. And just for kicks, just for fun, here he is next to himself from the first movie. And he's bigger than that one. And honestly, that Megatron, that Voyager Megatron, I feel like is really a respectable size in and of himself. And ironically, this version of movie 1 Megatron came out during the Revenge of the Fallen line, which is what this guy is supposed to represent. That Megatron with the wings, the plain Megatron over there, is from the Gathering at the Nemesis set, and I looked at him in full as well as the custom paintwork I did on him in episode 229. I don't like the leader class tank Megatron. I don't like the Voyager class tank Megatron all that much. And this Studio Series version absolutely, positively blows the movie 1 Megatron out of the water. I didn't even mind the Age of Extinction Galvatron incarnation. This is better than that, and I thought that was all right. For as imperfect as this is, I still think it's probably the best version of movie Megatron that we have, arguably, because I'm kind of torn. Though I didn't review him here on the channel, I know enough and have seen enough and kind of handled enough when it comes to the Last Night Voyager Megatron that's probably the best. But this guy's a close second. Like, either this guy is the best and that one's a close second, or that guy's the best and this one is a close second. It's very, very, very difficult to tell which one is better than the other. So we're sitting at an 8.75. Good score, and now we have the transformation to do. And there's things about it that I really respect, because this is such a weird design, but there's also things about it that I don't really like. So let's kind of talk about a couple of things before we actually do get started. First, everybody knows the elephant in the room is the big kind of space that's through his body. That is unfortunate, to say the least. They could have had a panel on either side or something maybe that could have filled that in. But from the back, he looks great. He really does. From the front, he looks great. So I could sort of, I guess I could live with it. Now I have seen as well, and I'm just going to unpeg the shoulders there. I have seen where these side cannon things have been brought down and then these brought back to sort of fill in the side of the body a bit. It helps. It's definitely not perfect, and you do have to kind of stress these ever so slightly to get them out of past the kind of edge of this section. Now they're like a soft rubbery plastic, so it's not a big deal, but that's kind of up to you. I can't tell you what to do there. It's just that's an option to fill things in a little bit if you are so inclined. Okay, so the conversion. We unpeg the arms. We got that much done. That's easy. We fold this piece out, and then we fold this piece out, and we fold the cannon piece out. And we just lift the whole back section off for now. And you kind of have the two halves of his body taken apart. His head, really, all you're doing there is just flipping that forward. So it's kind of like looking straight up to the sky now. Then we have to deal with the arms. Oh, I'll point this out too. While he doesn't have an accessory on his blaster arm, he does have this extra blade that can come out. It's extremely long, and it's soft rubbery plastic, but it looks cool, and when you don't want it, you can just fold it back up into his arm. Okay, so the arms. You basically straighten them out. You have the shoulders forward, and the instructions kind of try and tell you how to turn these, but the bottom line is that it's not easy to know exactly how to turn them. We have a little rectangular slot right there. That little rectangular slot is actually going to go down over a peg right here on the back. So when you flip the shoulder in, you're going to want that slot on the front to go down over that hole. So I guess for now we'll flip it this way. You straighten the arm out, and it does kind of have a locking point, a soft ratchet when you straighten it all the way out. Same sort of deal on this side, except on this side we have a, where is it? If I can find it. We have a peg instead of a slot. And there. Okay, so in the kind of front position, the peg is on the outside of the arm. So we want that to the inside. Now it says to kind of fold up the fingers in the instructions too. I don't really think you got to. They seem fine. They kind of hang out in the back anyway. Now you fold these shoulders all the way in. And you peg, that peg down into the... You peg that peg down to the slot, and over on this one, you're going to have to take that slot and put it down over the peg. I'm just going to kind of clean that up and get it pegged in, and then we'll go on. Just so I'm clear and thorough, this is the arm with his kind of weird fingers. And I'm talking about this peg right here going into that slot right there. On the other side, his blaster arm, I'm talking about right there. You have a peg going down into a slot right there, and that will lock the arms in place. See what I mean? Like, it's a bit weird to try and explain some of this. So once you have the arms in place, you can come up here to the side, and you're really just pulling his hips out. You pull them out from the hips, and it brings this armature down here. So, like, this was up as a part of his body. You just pull them down on both sides. You can also take this whole backpack piece and angle it down. There is a tab on this side that goes into a slot on the back of the shoulder, or it's supposed to. I find that at best it just sort of like loosely guides there at best. That being said, you don't really need to worry about it because this is not going anywhere. Now we're to the challenging part, the legs, and the instructions are just awful for the legs. Just absolutely, absolutely awful. So we have them here now. And really what you are doing is straightening the leg out and turning it around and then flipping it back up. Sounds simple enough, but it's shockingly not. Shockingly not. So very first thing I would do is I would turn the leg around. This was the back of the thigh, and now it's lined up at the very top of the thigh. Do the same thing on the other side. By the way, this top of the thigh is gray plastic. This kind of now lower part is painted. So that now that we have that done, we can come to the whole kind of foot leg piece and straighten it out, and we straighten it out. Great. Then we need to, and see if I can explain this, this thin armature in here needs to go like pushed across, so you really kind of take it here, and is that the way it goes? Maybe it's easier if I show it back here. Here, this whole thin armature, right here, needs to go pushed over kind of behind the tread. So you have it like this, and you wiggle it over until it clicks. I feel like the instructions really did not show that. On this side, same thing. You push it over until it clicks. Crucial, crucial piece there. Okay, so once you have that done, you can bring down those flaps. A lot of people say that they pop off. I think that's unfortunate. It doesn't really happen with this copy, thankfully. Then we need to deal with the feet. And really what you're doing is straightening out the heel, putting the toes together, and then this kind of inner foot piece, you are like flipping up over. It's a weird hinge. So I'll try and show it here now again on this side. You put the toes together, you straighten back the heel, you flip this in over. And that's kind of where you're to. You take the heel and straighten it back. You take the heel and straighten it back. I would even start to fold these kind of pieces down. They'll kind of come up over his face. And this is what we have. Now, now we need to bring this up on the side. On the, here, we'll do it this way. On the shoulders up right here, there's a little gray tab right there. And there's one over here, a little gray tab. They're on what are his shoulders. When we flip this up over, on the inside of this heel piece that we straightened out, there's a rectangular slot. That rectangular slot needs to go over that tab. It is a nuisance to do it, I find. Although that time it went in pretty nicely. I'll do the same thing on the other side. I'll rotate the leg up, and the same thing. We have to use that little tab and the kind of slot there that's in that tread. We can position those pieces there. And we basically have those in. I'm just going to make sure that they are tabbed in before we do the last and somewhat most tedious step. Okay, so now that I make sure that those two pieces of tread up right here were tabbed in and fixed the two little kind of front starts here in front of his face, we're left with a tank. But you will notice that we still have shin pieces down here, so he's not on his treads. That's when we have to come down underneath, and these shin pieces, there's a tab in right there that goes into a slot right there. There's a hinge in here. This hinge is extremely tight, and this kind of thigh cover really likes to pop off. I might have just called it shin, but it's a thigh cover. I would suggest to you, if you want a chance of not popping that off, I suggest holding on way in by the hinge and click it back twice. On the other side, same thing. If I can. In twice, and you'll notice that like this just came off. I'm going to have to put that on again. I don't find his legs like to stay tabbed on at all. Not really very. I don't think that this little tab going into that tread is effective. I don't know. That's probably arguable. It might even be just this copy. Like, it seems okay there now once I got it on, but it doesn't take a lot for me to knock that off. That might be just the tolerance on this mold. Like maybe the mechanism of pegging the legs in is fine. What can I say? Check yours out. But in the end, boom, here we have Megatron in his tank mode. Or tank-ish mode. I say tankish mode because, come on, is this really a tank? Like, come on. This kind of piece at the front, by the way, this cannon piece at the front is like, it's a soft rubbery plastic, but like, it's not a soft rubbery plastic like that blade that comes out on his arm. It still has some rigidity to it, but you can tell just by feeling it that it's more of that softer plastic, which is probably good because you really wouldn't want this piece to break off. A lot of people say like he has a little wheel there, and one up here, and one up here. And a lot of people say, he rolls fine. Not really. He's all right. But I do find that these two thigh pieces often kind of get caught up. Although he's rolling well there now. But yeah, you may end up having those pieces affect his rolling ability. Nevertheless, this is how he looks from the side, and I do think that this looks accurate. I mean, it's arguable if it's a tank. It's a Cybertronian vehicle that looks like a bunch of rocks put together or something. Here he is from the front, playing peekaboo down there with you, which again is accurate. Other side, and of course the back view, which leaves something to be desired. I mean, there's nothing down underneath. His hand is just sort of sticking out here, but like, I think it's okay because this is like such a hodgepodge of an alt mode anyway, and Megatron is such a hodgepodge asymmetrical character. I think the transformation is alright. If you like something kind of involved, it's kind of up your alley a bit. It is not the same level of elegance that Optimus Prime and Starscream were in Wave 1. It just isn't. But it does have some brilliance to it. As such, I'm going to say that his transformation it's a solid 8. It's good, but there are little pieces with it that's a pain. Just make sure that you do slide these pieces over into this little bit of track. Make sure that you peg the shoulders on. And last but not least, make sure that you manage to catch the two legs onto those tabs that are on the shoulders on the side to hold them together. Like, now that he's finally together, he's solid. Like, nothing's moving on him. And I do respect that. It's just a little bit of a niggling pain in places to get him there. So, an 8 for that. He was an 8.75. He got an 8 for this. Overall, he's an 8.25. It's a good Megatron. Next to the Last Night Voyager Megatron, I think that this is the best version of that movie character we have gotten. Even if his score is overall 8.25. It's the best version of Megatron we've gotten, but it is certainly not the best that we've gotten in the Studio Series line as a whole. And here we are once again with Megatron. And I like him. There are things that are done really well here. I like the articulation in the head. I love the way that the asymmetrical arms are done. They work stupendously well. His legs, articulation-wise, work pretty good. It'd be nice if he had some sort of a better knee, I guess. But his legs are such a weird kind of amalgamation of joints and pieces that I don't know if it would be possible. A lot of people have really complained about these pieces kind of popping off on the back. They don't really do it on this copy of the mold, which is great. But one of these certainly does. And it's a bit of a shame that these come off. It would have been nice if they were pinned, but I can see why they weren't, because the actual hinge there is so tight that we would have risked the breakage, and that would be an even bigger shame. There's a lot here to like. And things like the hollow body is something not to like. He is, from front on, he looks fantastic. He would look great on a shelf. He is certainly playable. But he's definitely not perfect. He has his flaws and his issues. I have been pretty high on the Studio Series line until this wave. I've mentioned before that I've seen certain weaknesses, certain kind of dings in the armor, so to speak. And while this guy is good, there's a little bit more that could have been done with him to make him just that much more better. Like little flaps on the sides to fill in the body at least, even if it was hollow, to make it not look hollow. And perhaps slight tolerance improvements to things like these leg flaps, and for a lot of people, these back flaps. Anyway, do I think that despite his imperfections, he's worth grabbing? Yeah, I really do if you're into the movie line. I've, fiddled with a few Megatrons, including the Galvatron from the Age of Extinction. And of them all,
this guy is the one that really makes me think, yeah, that's the leader of the Decepticons. Plus, though the body is rather hollow, I really do believe that he's a good-sized Voyager. He's tall, he's big, and even with his body like that, he still has the heft and weight that you would expect from a Voyager. I was surprised, actually, at how heavy he felt, though I think a lot of that is in the arms and his legs. Anyway, let me know what you think about this guy. As always, I'm going to say please subscribe if you haven't already. It helps me out tremendously. Thanks for giving me some of your extremely valuable time, and I very much look forward to the next time that you and I get together to have another visit right here inside the videos.